Thank you, yeah, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I didn't wear my combat boots today. Put them away. It's been a little bit of time since I had to wear Army boots. But the uniform has definitely changed for the better, for sure. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the experience of the end-to-end transformation journey that we're working on at Fidelity Investments. So it really relates to the cultural transformation that we're trying to make, and as well, it's really important that I share some of the learnings because I think everybody's here to learn best practices. We've started to use Tiny Pulse just recently, so I'm really excited. I've heard a lot of great things, and I hope that I can bring some of the learnings from Fidelity to all of you today. So the journey that we've brought out to our associates, we started a year ago, and it's called the I Heart Work or End-to-End Associate Experience Journey. And the division of personal investing is the retail customers. So if any of you have a Fidelity account, most of you probably have a 401k account. The side of the business that I'm on is the retail side, a brokerage account. So if you call 1-800-FIDELITY, you're going to get our employees, and they're all FINRA licensed. So it's a highly regulated environment where these people are licensed to give financial advice. And we've got over 4,000 of them across 6 different regions, actually 8 now in the US. So a pretty large workforce. It's grown dramatically. Actually, last count was closer to almost 7,000 through reorganization. So we're really working hard to transform that experience, and I'll tell you why. But first, a little bit about the past. So as Dave mentioned, I went to West Point. I was one of 8 children, and West Point was a great way for me to go get a free education. There was a catch. You're in the military, too. My dad didn't quite tell me about that. He was just very excited when the phone rang and it was West Point. Meantime, my brother enlisted, and he was very upset about that. I had no clue that there was a difference between being an officer and being enlisted. So fast forward 5 years after I graduated, served my time in Frankfurt. I was company commander. I hit the goals that I wanted to hit, and I was ready for the civilian workforce. And you could see buildings like this, black and white. You know, that was the kind of environment that I was ready to go into. I wanted to go to corporate America, and I wanted to be able to be paid for what I did. I didn't want, a very static, here in this tenure, you're going to get this pay. I said, no, I want the corporate world. And so my father said to me, well, you should work for the government. You can get a great pension. And I said, no, I really want to go out and see what I can do and get recognized for my achievements and my accomplishments. So getting into a corporate environment back then meant follow the rules, play along, be one of the many people within the organization all marching towards the common goal, and just pay your dues, right? That was the environment back then. And my father said, this is great that you're going in and pursuing your own dreams, but always make sure that you're inspiring the generation that's coming up behind you. And so he recognized that his generation was all about loyalty and commitment and following the rules. And our generation was more about taking the rules and breaking them. Women getting into positions like breaking the glass ceilings. But what's the next generation? So last fall, my father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And unfortunately, we lost him. But I did have the opportunity to go home and listen to him and talk to him about what he's accomplished. And he said, just make sure you take care of the next generation. You've done a great job with your kids, and that's what your legacy is, and that's what my legacy is. So I learned a lot from my father, and I take it to today and tie it back to what's this generation expecting from the workforce? So meet Wendy. Wendy was an associate, recent college grad. She was ready to join corporate America as well. She was really excited, and she wanted to join a company that could give her a career future. But unfortunately, after moving cross-country and joining Fidelity and completing training and getting her license, she was all excited, and then she went and started servicing our customers. And she took call after call after call. She felt very isolated. Even though her team was very welcoming, they never had time to interact. They never had a chance to talk to one another and get to know each other on a deeper level. After a while, she started to lose hope. And very shortly after she started, within the first year, she was gone. She didn't feel valued. So as we move forward, we had to really examine who we were and what we were delivering for our associates. Because as Wendy left, people started looking at, wow, Wendy left, maybe I should consider going somewhere else. Maybe there's a better opportunity out there where I don't have to take call after call after call, where I can be more challenged and be more stimulated. So that phenomenon is called turnover contagion, and it definitely can happen in an organization once people start to leave. So we knew we're hiring hundreds and thousands of people every year. So we get over 20,000 applicants a year. We're hiring almost 3,000 people every year, but we're still losing hundreds out the back door. That turnover rate was incredibly expensive. And so we needed to really understand how we were going to change our culture and fix that problem. And it wasn't one thing. If it was one thing, we would have fixed it. But that had dogged us for about 3 or 4 years, where we just kept washing people through the system. And so we turned to the customers. We said, these are the front lines that are helping our customers. We've really got to get this right. And so we started looking at what were the pain points for our associates. So the first thing that we did back in late 2015 was we brought 300 associates together and we started to do empathy interviews. And we mapped out their experience from end to end, not when they came to work, but from when they woke up in the morning till they went to sleep at night. Every person that sets foot in the office sets foot back into their life, and we wanted to make sure we were integrating their professional and their personal life. So we mapped out over 40 pain points, and then we really went to work. We started studying the me generation. This was featured, I think, in Time magazine, and it really talked about the millennials. Right now, 62% of our workforce at Fidelity in this personal investing is millennial. By 2020, everybody will have about 75% millennial in their organization. So we really have to understand what's important to them and what really matters. Because if we as leaders think that we know what is important, we don't, right? We grew up in a different era. So we really have to understand what's important to them. So we went out and started researching even more. We looked at what was their motivation, what were their perceptions, what were their attitudes. We had to understand that on a really deep level. And what we found was that they really have a very high social EQ. They want to align themselves with an organization that has the same values that they do. 84% of millennials actually have already made a charitable contribution. That's far different than my generation when volunteering wasn't in vogue, right? So we have a different kind of mindset that we're trying to work with and trying to attract. Many more of them are running away from corporate America and becoming entrepreneurs. So we also learned they weren't going into that loyalty factor. That started to die with our generation, or my generation, I should say, as I'm at the edge of Gen X baby boomer. You were seeing more people getting laid off in their 50s. But truly, people are going to have more. We all know this, right? We're all HR professionals for the most part. People are not going to have just 1 or 2 careers. They're going to have 3 or 4 careers, and they're going to look for tours of duty. So they're going to look to learn and grow and continuously grow, and they're going to be really demanding more things just like our customers. So I think it was Scott that talked about bringing marketing into their HR organization. I think that's brilliant because you do have to market to your associates like they're your customers. And they're going to be always looking for growth. That continuous learning organization, it's no longer go to school, go to work, retire. It's go to school, keep learning, and maybe never retire, right? So it's a very different world today. So here's what we learned, and I'm going to have to refer to my notes because we learned a lot. So the process we used is really important. Number one, we went out and we looked at Google, right? We looked at Amazon, we saw the Biodome. We went to Zappos, we went overseas, we went to companies in Asia, in Europe. We really wanted to get the best anywhere, not just the financial services industry, but anywhere, because we know that war for talent is fierce. We brought in a design experience firm that really helped us to understand at a very deep level who are even the kind of associates that will do the work that we need done, that will best service our customers. So just like we have for marketing a customer persona, we have 3 of them, and one that our associates, that persona that our associates take care of is called Sally. And Sally is the person that is, we have a whole demographic profile for them, but we needed a whole demographic profile for what our associates were going to do, but then we needed to know what was important to them. So beyond that journey map of the 40 pain points, we then went and we did ethnographic interviews, which really, the consultants spent a full day in these people's homes learning about what was important to them, what they value, what the perceptions and attitudes were. We brought in a super panel of experts to talk about trends globally, trends in the workforce, trends with space design, everything that was important. And then we digested that into really some key findings. So here are the key findings that we had for our design target. Number one, that the number one thing that they wanted was the role design. That was the crux of it. They needed more variety, they needed more autonomy, they needed more ownership. That whole empowerment piece, can't discount that at all. The second thing we learned was they needed flexibility. So in a call center where you're told when you can go to the bathroom and you're told when you can go to lunch, that kind of flexibility that they didn't have was critical. It was killing them. And they needed control real time, not just of their schedule, but of their life. We also knew that they needed opportunities to see. They needed help seeing where their career path would go so that they had that hope and that future vision, so they had a place where they were actually growing towards, somewhere at the end goal for them. They also needed hyper-local hyper-relevant benefits. So when you think about, you open up your browser and you get Amazon, the people like you also bought this, right? They needed something that was appropriate for them, their life stage, who they were, when they needed it. So we have to get much better at our benefits, and not just what we offer, but when we offer it. We also knew that space was important. Where you work, the environment, the biophilia, the inspiration you get from the space that you're in, totally important. You look at the turnover contagion. Who wants to work in a cube farm? I don't. Another thing that we learned, leading edge technology is really important. So you give them, they've all grown up on mobile, right? My daughter lives on her phone. They come to work, put your phone down, plug into your computer, stick your headset in. Right? That's what we were expecting. What millennial is going to want to work there, right? So we had to modernize that. Another thing, they needed to feel valued. It seems so simple, but unless, that's what Tiny Pulse is really bringing to us, is that way to show them that they're feeling that they're valued, right? Giving that listening. But it's not just the value, but it's the connectedness. The connectedness is a bigger picture. That it's not you're just doing another pin reset for a 90-year-old woman who can't remember her pin. It's that you're helping someone's grandmother to take care of their finances, right? Like that mindset, we had to get that in spades. And we needed to get managers to really focus on what they were doing to help people by empowering and believing and advocating for their people, not just being there as a supervisor to answer questions. Right. And then lastly, and this isn't light either, is the authenticity, right? Ping pong tables and nap pods, that's not fidelity, right? We're a financial services firm. We're not going to do some things that just don't fit our culture. We need to do things that will inspire the financial professionals that we're hiring, and we needed our leaders to walk the talk and show what their values were, not talk about it. Right? We're really good at talking about things, and we really need our leaders to do things. So those were the key learnings. Now let me tell you a little bit about the process of how we identified what exactly we were going to offer that was uniquely Fidelity. So we had to take a look at all of this information and understand how in the world are we going to prioritize it. So we came up with a process that we were going to use to prioritize all of that. It was called a Max Diff survey. But we really wanted to know what people wanted. So we gave a survey to all of our associates with the 90+ ideas and said, would you rather have this or would you rather have that? And if you had that, would you be more likely to stay? So we narrowed it down and we scored everything. And then that helped us to get after what was most important, not from what we thought was important, but what from they really wanted. So their ideal experience, we had it mapped out and we started to take action on that. And again, research was the key foundation to this, and building on the ideal experience from their side of the fence, not what we as leaders thought was important to them. So this is our value proposition. This is what's unique about Fidelity, what Fidelity can offer. And so this is where really what we designed our leadership education around as we started to get the leaders involved in walking that talk. So the growth and stimulation, think about what I was saying about people continuously learning, that they constantly want to be knowing things. Think about YouTube. You don't know something, you just go to YouTube, figure out how to do it, right? So this is a generation that's constantly learning and growing, so we wanted to accentuate that. We wanted to hire people that want to help other people, so doing good. So we had to make sure that our values and our community is relatable to the people that we want to hire. We also want to put life first, right? Right now we have certain policies and perks that just don't put life first. So we've been modernizing the life first. We want to show people that we're a stable company. A lot of people love the Googles of the world, or the Amazon's been moving to Boston, GE's moving to Boston. Dallas is one of our big sites. Toyota's moved there, Schwab is moving there. Ton of competitive threats. But what we do offer is a really great history, but that's not necessarily what you lead with, that's how you hook them in the end. And then financial wellness, that's uniquely Fidelity. And we haven't spent enough time as an organization taking care of our own, because we're taking care of all our customers. So we took this combination and started building on that. And let me tell you about some of the things that we learned along this journey as well. First, we realized we were actually hiring the wrong people. So we would go after those recent college grads. They were finance and business degrees. That was it. You had a teaching degree, you were a hospitality major, sorry, don't apply, right? And the reality was we were passing up a gold mine, because that EQ was so important for people to really take care of our customers. And in a call center environment, that is a tough environment. People don't call to tell you they're happy, right? They're calling because something's wrong, or they're confused, or they need more help. And so we needed people that had that helping spirit and could pass that Series 7 license. The pass rate for FINRA licensing is in the 80% range. Fidelity's got it at 94%. So we always teach to that exam, and so that was the thing that we always focused on, and we had to get away from that. And so our work stream we call Top Talent is getting after finding the right people, changing who we hire, and getting them onboarded in a way that we call empathetic onboarding, celebrating every moment that they hit a milestone, whether that's getting their badge, something that simple, whether it's getting their license, taking the first phone call with a customer. All those things we're celebrating along the way so that they're getting ingrained in our culture. We also, as I mentioned, they've all grown up on mobile, and all of our benefits, everything is web-based. So we have started a journey to really put things on mobile for them. Everything from their performance statistics to their schedule to the menu at the cafeteria. We're in the process of getting everything put online, whether it's their health or their life or their work. We want it all to be accessible mobily for them. So one of the things that we did as we mapped out the journey was really taking every milestone of what was happening with these folks and really making sure that they understood we were working towards something. So we published some videos for the associates to really give them a sense of what we are working on as an associate experience team and showing them their journey. And some of the examples of things that we're working on would be diversified day. So getting after that monotony of that call after call after call, and being told when your breaks are and told when your lunch are. We wanted to work on schedule flexibility. So the way that we did it, though, was very different than our traditional standard we're just going to redesign something and then put it out for everybody. We did a test and learn agile methodology. So we built a small team. We gave them the challenge. Here's the problem we need to solve. We need to solve flexibility. So they went out and they talked to associates and they put in a shift swap program. And what we found was, actually, it didn't make a big difference. So we thought, oh no. But it wasn't a problem because we were learning. So we took those learnings and we tried another step. And we did a flexible break and lunch opportunity for them. And the operations people were really worried. They did not want to affect that customer experience. They were very skeptical. But what we were able to do was show in that experiment that, guess what? Our associates care about taking care of customers. So they're not all going to take lunch at the same time. They're not all going to save their breaks and leave early, right? They know the market closes at 4 o'clock. They got to be on their phone. So what they found was actually the customer experience got better because people weren't stressed and they could use the bathroom when they needed to, or they could take a break and go meet up with one of their colleagues from the training class that they'd lost touch with. So the learning for us was it was really important to test things and then get them out and do it in a fun way. So when we rolled this out, this flexible breaks and lunches, we didn't pull all the managers into a training room and teach them the new way. We rolled it out to everybody at once and we called it Shift Happens. And we made little armbands and it was Shift Happens. And so it really was a great way to get people excited. And when I talked to associates about what was the difference between before and now, they said, before I would always have to be asking my manager to make an exception if I needed to change my lunch or go to a special event that was happening on the site. And now I have permission to do it myself. So that empowerment came through loud and clear, and we gave them the flexibility. So how you do things is really important. Another thing that we realized was that people lose track of the big picture. And so one of the things that we're designing is what we call a personal annual report. So every business has an annual report. But what we wanted to do was go after things on what did you personally deliver as an individual to the bigger whole. And so we're developing a personal annual report where people are going to be able to see what they did, what their customers said, and how many people, and make it more tangible, right? It wasn't that you took a 529 call, but you helped put 875 kids to college, right? That's much more meaningful and tangible and getting people to connect to the bigger picture. We also have worked really hard on our career aspirations for our associates. This is probably the hardest one, right? Because you can continue to learn and grow and build skills, but if you don't have a path, that's really hard. So we have built some career pods within our sites that are just physical, visible places, and the career coaches are, anyone can sign up to be a career coach. So we're working on that, but we're really working towards getting a personalized plan so that people can actually see their own plan and have a personalized view of where they're going. And then I mentioned the benefits of having what you need when you need it. We launched a new benefit about 18 months ago, and it was one of the first of its kind, and it was for college debt. College debt is over $15 trillion. It's more than credit card debt. It's just sickening, especially with my daughter getting ready to go to college. I'm sick about it. But we offer a 5-year, $2,000 a year, up to $10,000 student loan abatement program for our associates. And that's been a big hit because it hits them in their life stage. So we're constantly looking at our benefits, but what we really want to get to is curated benefits so that they really, what you need when you need it. And lastly, financial planning. As I mentioned, we're kind of like the cobbler's children. So we're not paying a lot of attention to this because you're a financial professional giving others advice. We assume you're taking care of yourself. So it's really targeting on the first-year associates and giving them all our financial wellness tools so that they can look and manage their debt, so they can start their savings, so they can learn how to invest themselves. And we're pulling together a product we're calling Fidelity Financial Wallet, which will give them $1,000 and put it in an IRA and let them invest it. So we're trying to really modernize what we're doing, and like I mentioned, the personalization, the flexibility. And as well, community spaces. So this was part of our Denver experiment. Space is so important. And what we were finding was you can't build this cafeteria that people can't get to. You only have a 30-minute break. So building nice community spaces like this one with dishwashers, with water machines, with 2 refrigerators to satisfy everybody on the floor, this is the kind of thing that really, it's great. And I love it because when I visit Denver, I just hang out here. And I can have any conversation and all kinds of collisions to learn what's going on in that site. We also wanted to, as I mentioned, the personal annual report to bring that purpose to the surface. We also designed a wall that has customer stories on it. Because you forget, after you get into the routine of work, that you're actually taking care of people's retirement, people's dreams, people's somedays. And so we put these things on the wall with chalkboards as well to update different comments, to let people remember you're servicing customers. And then we also brought their lives into the building. And we created this very low-res wall, painted it this crazy green. Before we had clipboards on here, people were saying, this experiment failed. You've got to get this color off the wall. It's horrible. We said, just wait. Let us put the clipboards up. And so you could see it's the things that people love. And actually, it brings a lot of conversation. When someone's new to the team, they put a new picture up. But it's a very low-res way to bring people's lives into work as well and remind them of their someday. So when we asked them for feedback, they loved it. So this is an area in Denver we call the beach, and it's a very casual place to hang out. And I'll just tell you one story about the beach. So one of our managers who we really worked hard to get their mindset going, he brought an example to us of how he used that space. He said one day, horrible traffic. Everybody was stressed getting into the office because everyone was coming in late. And they were worried that they were going to get in trouble because they're not meeting their time frames, and traffic was nasty. And so he sees them all coming in tense, asked them to go over to the beach, turned on the music, and said, you're not ready to talk to customers yet. So he's mindful about their own mental state, took the time, kind of ignored the operations aspect of it, and treated them as people first. And then said, now you're ready to go on the phone. So it's those kind of moments that our leaders are doing, that we're sharing and saying, this is what you do, leaders. These are the behaviors and the kind of care and understanding we want you to give to your associates. Don't just manage your operational metrics. So we know we're having an impact. We're measuring everything that we're doing, and we're looking at the likelihood to stay. And in Denver, after we put all those experiments and tests in place, we had people 93% more likely to stay. So we continue to reinforce with our leadership team, and I was talking with Francis about all the different leadership aspects, the behaviors. That's probably the hardest part, and we're working on that right now, but we have to show them that we get it, and we have to let them design. So this is space that our associates designed, and when we leave, they own it, and we continue to reinforce that they're empowered to take charge of the space, their life, their work, and we're here to advocate for them to help them do their best and inspire the next generation. So, thank you.
All right, we have a couple of questions from the audience that I'd like to ask before.
Sure.
So first one is, could you share some specific examples of policies or things that you changed to support the life first value?
So I mentioned the fear of coming in late, right? If anybody ever worked in a call center, you get 6 occurrences, then you go on a warning, you have 2 warnings, you go on final warning, right? So we had a very rigid system. We just erased it. We literally erased the policy. And we didn't make a big deal of it. We just said to the leaders, life comes first. If you see a pattern, address it. But let people make up their time, be understanding. But most importantly, when someone's late, ask them if there's anything that they need from you. So just totally change that approach to our attendance and occurrence policy. I mentioned the benefit that we added for the college debt, but we also added a PTO policy. So we got rid of sick and vacation, and we made it a PTO bank so that people can use their time how they need it. So modernizing policies has been a big part of this.
Great. Do you think your military background has played into your perspective in terms of building and developing culture?
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny that you asked that. So as I was looking at the leadership challenge, I called a friend who, he used to tutor me in physics, really smart guy, and he's still in. He is a 2-star general, and he runs the Army Command and General Staff College. And I said, John, can you help me out here? I really want to understand, what has the military done to modernize leadership? And so he sent me a couple of Army doctrine documents that were not, you know, not secret documents. But what I learned from him was that the leadership that the Army has gone to is much more servant leadership and is founded in humility. And that's just something I never experienced at West Point. So they really have modernized. But the fact that trying to look at, here's an organization that is very large, very complex, not unlike Fidelity, and how are they getting that leadership to change? And really through education, but then discussion. So all of our education has been coupled with discussion so that people aren't just getting one way, but they're actually starting to talk about it and getting examples of humility, like the manager who pulled everybody together and just let people be people and calm down. So I think that knowing that we have rigid structure and that is an impediment for us, it's really helped me to think differently.
Great. One last question for you. So you cited by 2020, 75% of our workforces will be millennials. And I'm going to merge that stat with the question that got the most votes, which makes millennialism sound like a physical condition. The question is, do you think millennials will grow out of it and navigate towards the center?
No, I think that the millennials are really the leading indicator of how society is going to change, because as millennials start to really take leadership roles, they will bring those values with them naturally. And so what I really like about it is that business is starting to do good. Many more businesses are like Timberland. So probably 10 years ago, I remember going to a Boston Chamber of Commerce leadership event, and the Timberland CEO came and spoke. And they had so many social programs, and 10 years ago, I was like, really? We'd never do that. But fast forward to today, and so many companies are now centering around their social responsibility. We now have mutual funds around social causes. So there's a lot changing, and I think that the millennials are really helping to drive that versus coming to the center, because I do think that's just that cultural change of doing good is kind of grounding for that generation, this generation.
Wonderful.
The majority.
Let's give Mary a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you.